Antiques collector Larry Maki joining us on the show. We don't have a huge time for a segment today, but I want to say thank you to you for taking care of some of the evacuees and housing them while they were here. That's what Adrian Dix was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Good for you.
Well, yeah, it was a pleasure. I tell you, you wish your house was a little bit bigger. You wish you had a couple more washrooms and you had set it up a little bit better. But I remember when they left, it was wonderful to have them. But 3 weeks later, they're gone back home, and I was happy for them. And my wife and I were sitting in the living room and just enjoying ourselves and how nice the house was. And I just looked at her and said, I love you. Because it was so beautiful to have a house back.
But you know what? If we had more people, not that we have so many amazing people in this town that did so much, but there's just
fantastic.
To be able to take people in like that is something. I don't want to cut short our segment though, but today we are looking at
comic art.
Comic art. So here's
these are things that, for example, the one you're holding was taken out of from a newspaper. This was the actual drawing that the man did. It's Beetle Bailey, and he's signed it, and it's a piece of comic art that they did. They would put those, they became awful small in the newspapers, but they needed them that big for the printing process.
Yes.
And now they become quite collectible, all sorts of comic art like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're wonderful to have, and you can frame them like that. You can go to auctions. You and I were talking about going to auctions earlier. The ones that you're holding now, it's called The Wizard of Id.
Right,
and, there's two of them there, the smaller one and the larger one. You could go to places like Comic-Con, for example. The Monster is down in San Diego every year. And you can buy these things. Actually, some of the artists will show up. And,
is that right?
Yeah, it's a fantastic event if you can get in. Yeah, it's almost impossible to get into some of these places to do that. And these comic things have become very collectible. Now, if we had one that was Peanuts, if you ever find one, you grab it and you can secure your retirement then.
Seriously?
That's how good that one is.
Is that right? What makes them, is it a special edition of them, or how does that work?
No, it's just that they've become so popular. They're such an integral part of our lives, you know, reading comics in the newspaper, especially for me when I was a kid. They had sheets of them, not like they have now, just a little blurb in the paper.
Yeah.
But, and so that they become such parts of our lives that when we see them like that, we would like to have them again. Yeah, they're wonderful. I brought a cell. It's a Disney cell.
Yes.
And it was given to the artist only. Disney gave them out to artists that actually drew those and gave them as a memento. And I met the lady who drew that. And
is that right?
And I asked her, would she sell it? And she said, okay. And I said, will you sign it for me? And she did. So they're a wonderful collectible. Now, the modern cells have dropped off a little bit in their value or in their collectability, but the old ones, the Mickey Mouse, the very old Disney cells, and the fellow who found a whole bunch of them, Disney had thrown them all in the garbage, and he was going and he found them and just saved them all. And they're worth a fortune, but the newer ones have fallen a little out of favor because there's so many of them now, you know, and they're so perfect. But so that's another part of comic collecting, comic art. And Kamloops got a history of it because at one time there was a fellow in town, Todd McFarland, who is so famous now. He's just absolutely worldwide famous. He did comic art here. He ended up working for Marvel Comics and doing Spider-Man, and then moved on to his own comic line and now does figurines. Well, he was right from Kamloops here.
That's awesome to hear that.
And slept on people's furniture just because he had no money at the time and everything. So there's but comic art is a wonderful thing, and you can be assured that like there's two things I say: old toys and old comics. You're pretty secure with those.
Good to know.
They're great stuff to have.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Larry, thank you so much.
You're
We're out
very
of time.
welcome.
If you have any old toys or old comics you want to have checked out, Larry Maki's your guy. Information on the screen. We'll be right back. Stay with us.